Hello, guys. I greet you all according to the location you are listening, watching me from. It's me, your sister, your friend, Creative Kingdom AB. Guys, this is a very quick one and a very interesting one as that. Guys, have you noticed that there's a difference between a leader who speaks for his personal interest and a leader who also speaks for the interest of his people, of the society? These are two different kinds of people now. Yesterday, I saw this video whereby the new CJN had a meeting with the senators in the House of Representatives. It creates an atmosphere for the senators to ask her a questions, which they did. She gave answers to those questions and later went on to introduce herself, which went pretty good. But I observe different thing entirely. On the questions of the senators, I now noticed that there was a senator who asked questions based on his personal interest. I also observed other senators who asked those questions based on people's interests, which I will allow you to listen to these two categories of people.
TV, I want to ask question. And I thought that for those who are in doubt, this training is not an act of favor or punishment. We just want to be enlightened as to have a window into the way in which the mind of the next Chief Justice of Nigeria works. So for Kalu, I needed to understand that we are not doing her any favor by saying, take a bow. In any case, that has been settled. I just want to ask one or two questions. You know, my Lord, when we complain of crowded court, the courts only adjudicate based on the jurisdiction conferred on it by Parliament. For example, when my case went to court as a governor or governorship dispute, the law then was that cases are terminated at the Court of Appeal. The National Assembly, in its wisdom, chose to remove that bar and said the cases must now terminate at the Supreme Court. So we can't overload the vehicle and then blame the driver for carrying overload. But there are a couple of issues that I believe many of us, distinguished senators, must be aware of. That depending on the party you belong, at the level of the state judiciaries, people tend to prefer, talking about foreign shopping, to file cases before Federal High Court, particularly if it's a case in which you believe the state governor or the state government may have an interest. And how we deal with this, how the Chief Justice of the Federation can encourage judges in the states to show the same level of courage to pronounce where it's still discovered that a state government or state interest, a state governor has crossed the red line, that people should feel able to go to a state high court and get justice. I don't want to rush to federal high court because of the fear that judges, in many cases at the state level, don't want to enter judgment that will be offensive to the state executive. That is recently in the state, and for obvious reasons I won't mention the state, the National Judicial Council approved the appointment of new judges, which is in line with the Constitution. But the state governor in Benin decided, I didn't mention him, I mentioned a city. The state governor of Benin refused to swear in, excuse me.
You did not mention the state, you only mentioned Benin.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Benin is not a state.
That's right. So As we speak, those judges were not sworn in, even though they have been cleared by the National Judicial Council. When I was a governor, sir, there was a case, a judgment against the district government. But because the governor has immunity, the judge decided to sentence, to convict the Attorney General for contempt of court. So I'm like, if a state governor disobey a ruling of a superior court, and because the governor has immunity, there is nothing you can do. I have expected that the Attorney General will be charged for contempt of court or showing disrespect to the National Judicial Council, so that the discretion we exercise should not be abused to the extent that all of the processes that the National Judicial Council goes through to select and approve and forward to the governor for rectification. I am sure, Mr. President, you approve many such recommendations, not necessarily because you like the persons, but in the wisdom of the National Judicial Council, they've cleared them. So I thought that there might be, we'd like to know how, whether legislation is required or the Supreme Court, being a policy court, what it can do to help to curtail abuse of power at the level of the state.
My people, you just listen to that. Adams Ali Oshomole actually mentioned Benin. It's only fool you will later deny that for. That you are not mentioning, for the fact that you are not mentioning Obaseki. We don't know who you are talking to. If you have personal issue with a governor, you have personal issue with your friend, you have the personal, you should go and address it. You should go and meet him and address it. Don't use it to cause nightmare in the state. You have used the personal issue you had with the governor to rig the election. My people, this is one of the ways you can identify a leader who is actually speaking for his personal interests. Look at his communication skill. Is he using persuasive languages to manipulate or to convince others? That is exactly what Oshomole succeeded doing here. He's using persuasive language to manipulate, to convince his colleague, in order for him to gain support for his personal agenda in Edo State, for his personal interest in Edo State. My people, I will allow you to just also watch other senator who actually speaks based on the interest of his people. I will be back.
Session of judiciary. Mr. Nominee, in the event that this hallowed chamber confirmed you as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, what do you intend to do to reverse the negative perception of judiciary, particularly if you read Nigerian newspapers, even though perception is different from reality? But I think it is important for you and for us to really address this issue. Justice delivery is a problem in Nigeria. You see people that are arrested, put in prison, and some of them spend 3-4 years. And even if they are convicted, they may not be convicted for more than 2 to 3 months, but they end up spending 3 years. And that's why we have terrible prison congestion in this country. So this negative perception, how do you intend to really reverse it? Lastly, Mr. President, the Supreme Court made a very important judicial pronouncement. And this judicial pronouncement was commended by even the National Assembly, the Nigerian press, as negative as they are, as critical as they are about the local government funds. With your permission, Mr. President, let me quote Section 287. The decision of the Supreme Court shall be enforced in any part of the Federation by all authorities and persons and by courts with subordinate jurisdiction to that of the Supreme Court. So, end of quotation, Mr. President. Nominee, what do you intend to do to enforce the judgment made by the Supreme Court on local government funds that are supposed to be released directly to the local government councils instead of local government joint account? And to be honest, distinguished colleagues, the present insecurity Nigeria is facing is simply because local government have been deprived of these funds. So it is important for the Supreme Court and for all courts in the country to enforce that judgment. I so rest my case, Mr. President. Thank you.
Wow, this is a thinking person. A thinking person is a living person. As a matter of fact, thinkers rule this world. You can see his questions. How he's basing his questions based on facts, principles, truth. I know when I said he's based his question on truth, you might be contemplating on this and say, what is truth on it? Deprivation. When he mentioned that word, local government, they are being deprived, is equally talking about 1999 constitution that affects local governments. Now, the constitution now placed local governments under the control of state government. This actually means that state governments now have influence over local governments. It has influence over state government affairs, including their finances and administrations. This is not good at all. You see many agitation here and there. Have you ever sit down to ask yourself what led to this agitation? This one agitating for Ododuwa, this one Braifa. They can't take it anymore because it's suffocating them, local government, not to be able to protect themselves, provide for themselves, protect their resources. So, although local governments are recognized as the tier of government, but they lack true autonomy. The Constitution does not provide for them sufficient provisions to ensure their independent operation. They are still, you see, it's suffocating them. Are we going to talk about local governments, how they often rely on allocation coming from the state government, which also led to the delay and the mismanagement of funds? This dependency now obstructs their ability to plan and execute projects effectively the way they should have. It affects it. All these have consequences? Yes, it do. I can go on and on. This senator who actually asks questions based on national interest, people's interest, is an hero. These are the people nations supposed to award, recognize. Not people like Oshomole. So, the question of this senator that just asked question based on people's interest. Remember, we are talking about two categories of people now. People who speak for the interest, who ask questions, who speaks for the interest of the people, and there's also some category who ask question, who speaks for just for their personal interest. So does all those 1999 constitution that this brave man just asked question about, does it has negative consequences? Of course it do. When you now see underdeveloped areas, the lack of autonomy and the control over resources lead to underdevelopment. At the grassroots level, local government strong goal. You saw it happening in the election in Edo State. They strong goal to provide basic services and infrastructure. So a lot of things, there are a lot of consequences which all these things actually affects when a local government is being deprived. So having said that, people like Adams Ali Oshomole, who often speak for his own personal interest, for his own personal agenda, for his own personal gain, should not be trusted, because they will go on and on to continue to take action that will attract nightmare to the society. As we speak now, he still heard some people who criticize him during the time of election. He still held them under his custody, using his power that is abuses of power. So we should keep note of all of this. It's very important. It is very important, my people, because of time and for me not to prolong this video. Thank you and may remain blessed. Bye bye.